day. It's wonderful to have all of you back in the studio with us. Today we will be taking up the subject of life is a game. This came up in one of our previous discussions with Sister Denise, who is here in the studio with me. Hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you.
So in a previous episode, in response to one of my questions, you said life is a game. I'm quite curious, within the context of karma, destiny and choice, what did you mean by it?
It's an ancient idea to call life a game. Especially in India, they think of it as God's game. And some people, when they're experiencing something that they don't like, they think it's not a very good game. And when it's things that they do like, then they think it's a great game. But there are other aspects. One important aspect is that people take life very seriously, and it becomes too heavy. This is also out of balance. So it's very important for us as human souls to be light and take it easy, all this stuff that's going on. The good, the bad, the up, the down, life is like that. I think it's just very important for us to know that since it's a game, the key issue is for us to acquire skills so that we can play the game skillfully and enjoy it. And there are many skills to be learned through spiritual knowledge and practice, and knowing the laws of karma and performing the game, taking into consideration these laws, means that you win. And people love to play games and they love to win.
I still don't get why it's such a well-kept secret, though. The game, the life, the rules, the law of karma. It's known yet not known. Why the secrecy? Why is this not general knowledge?
I think it's because of this word that we use from time to time, the comparison of body conscious and soul conscious. If you remember in the study that we did earlier today, the word dharma was used for the self. If you think of your dharma as soul, or if you think of your dharma as body. Now, generally in English translation, dharma is translated as religion. It's often used like that. But philosophically, it has a different meaning. And that has to do with your identity. So what you are, your dharma, is you're a spiritual being. You're eternal, you're immortal, you're here to play. But when you don't know that, then you think what you are is a body. That becomes your dharma, and then you don't know that it's a game. And that is the problem.
Okay, so there are rules to any game. Now this applies to the game of life. Okay, now could you give us a hint as to what these rules are? Well, obviously there must be 1,000 rules, but hacks, life hacks, as it's known nowadays. So how would you know what the rules are? The problem is we learn the rules by default because you do something and you get a negative consequence, and then you realize, oh my goodness, if you're smart enough, you realize this is why this happened. But you learn ex post facto.
Yes.
Now
right.
a wise person would want to learn beforehand.
This is what we're doing with this program, is setting out the rules, which is in fact the law of karma, the philosophy of karma. We have to understand, just as the scientific community operates by knowing what the laws of matter are. And so the laws of spirit is the same as the laws of karma, the law of action and reaction, the law of as you sow, so you reap. So whatever you do, you get an equal and opposite return. So you need to know the difference between profitable and unprofitable acts. It's quite a simple rule, really.
Profitable and unprofitable. That's very loaded. You can't possibly leave it there. Details. We want details.
A profitable means that it produces a good result. you benefit, the circumstances become favorable, and the people that you interact with are also benefited. That's profitable action. When you don't understand these laws and you operate out of what we call body consciousness or material mindedness, you're operating on the basis of instant sense gratification. And there you make mistakes because you are assuming that what you are is a physical body who has appetites that want to be satisfied. And when you satisfy those appetites, very often you harm yourself, mess up the environment, and harm other people. This is unprofitable acts.
We have established that we live in a world of very damaged individuals, many of whom are running on empty. So when you have very little resources, how do you put out when you're empty?
Well, the first thing is, when you're empty, you can't put out. So when you're empty, or if your car has run out of petrol, where does your mind go? You're on the freeway driving, you're looking at that E sign, and the indicator is there. You think only about the next petrol station. When your cell phone has got no more juice in it, you think only, where is my charger and where is a plug? And this is what happens to the soul. When the soul is this much depleted, you don't know that you run out of petrol, you run out of electricity. All you know is something's wrong and I need to figure out a solution. You're at a loss. So part of what we're trying to do here is get people to be aware that you have run out of your spiritual power, and the source of spiritual power, we call that God or the Supreme Being, or there's lots of different names. And you must turn your mind and lock on to that source, which is beyond this world, and pull energy into yourself. There's no other solution, and it's not that difficult. It's just that you need to know this is what the problem is, this is where the solution lies, and assign time in your day for daily filling of your empty soul. Anyway, the game of life is going to continue regardless, but at least if you're filling up on a daily basis, then you have some capacity to handle the challenges that are coming. When you're totally empty, what do? You lock onto a human being and try and pull their energy, or you lock onto a drug and see if that'll help, or you lock onto some other illusion, and that will deplete you very quickly.
My mind now goes to the shockingly large number of individuals in life who have given up, who no longer wish to play the game of life. They've given up on themselves, they've given up on other people, they've given up full stop. They're in automatic pilot mode. They remind me of an individual in the boxing ring who has received one too many blows to the head, and so they're spaced out. There are many for whom life has been such an experience. What would you say to such individuals who've received knock after knock after knock, and for whom the game is a nightmare?
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't say anything to people like that. I would do something different. What I would do, because I have the circumstances, the fortune, however you want to put it, to know about this since some time. So I will use part of my meditation time to generate energy which is sent out generally so that it's available, and it can even be directed towards people in a relatively general way so that they experience a current coming towards them and giving them relief. because you can't say something to somebody like get up and walk, because they can't. But you can send that energy, and if they are able to pick it up and take some relief from it, then from there they can maybe wake up and stand up and start to pull energy in for their own selves, you know.
I remember you speaking once recently about the importance of intentions. How does intentions play out in understanding and playing the game of life?
Yeah, there are a lot of different players, and every player has a different intention. I remember mentioning earlier that, in my opinion, the highest motivation is love for God and love for humanity. It's very broad, and I consider it the highest. If that is your intention and it informs how you function on a day-to-day basis, then everything you do is going to be oriented in that direction. And so your whole karma, your life, everything is like that. Because many people are just selfish, or they are just only interested in accumulating money, power, position, things like this in the world, in the eyes of the community, the society. Their intention is different. Their intention is, I want. They are takers. And so they will do things for their own personal benefit, regardless of everybody else. And this I would put in the category of unprofitable karma, because you can get a little bit, but because you're using so much energy to get so little, you're not really taking advantage of the nature of the game. And the nature of the game is this, that if you make your karma with God, then every profitable action you do, the fruit is multiplied by multi-millions. If you are motivated just by your own self-aggrandizement, the fruit of what you do is 1 for 1, so you don't get that much benefit.
It is important to have this awareness that you just described. It is also necessary to enjoy life, to be spontaneous, to laugh, to have joy. Now, if one is measuring everything that you do, does that not place too much stress on an individual? In other words, how do you do what you're saying and still be light?
You don't calculate. It's an orientation. You don't have to calculate it. You know, this is me, this is what I'm about, let's go. And you enjoy, you are light, you are easy, and everything goes well for you, so you don't have any problem. You can be childlike and wise and making lots of profit all in one go.
Childlike and wise, that's a curious term or terms to use. Why did you use those terms?
Well, who is more spontaneous than a child? But if you understand all these laws, then that's going to make you wise. And if you can have this combination of the spontaneity and easiness of a child, along with the deep wisdom of a sage, that's a very nice way to be.
What is the price we pay for not understanding that life is a game, for not just getting the rules? And the reason I ask this is because the karmic negative return is divorced from the action that caused it. I remember once reading something by Khalil Gibran, and he said, we experience our joys and sorrows long after we created them. Because of them not being together, we don't connect the dots because it's not visible. So how then can we take a negative situation and learn from it? most of us fall into the trap of not learning from negative situations. We become more negative.
I think it's connected with the culture and the dominant religions. Because the dominant religion of Western culture doesn't subscribe to the laws of karma or the idea of the philosophy of karma, neither does it subscribe to the concept of reincarnation. The natural awareness of that has been deleted. In ancient times, people were very aware of it, but because of political reasons, it was deleted from the dominant religion. And this is actually included in the game. The game is a game of happiness and sorrow, success and failure. This means that we are at a period of time when all of that wisdom has been sort of kicked out by the people who are the thought leaders. The price that we pay collectively is that the infrastructure of the current civilization is collapsing. That's basically what's happening. While this is going on, also the nature of the game is that when it reaches the absolute bottom, then the only way is up. And here you get a kind of deus ex machina coming in and saying, by the way, guys, did you know that it was a bad idea to delete these concepts from your culture, so let's get it back in so that the game can proceed in an amazing and wonderful way. And there you get the completely renewed human world coming out of this. So this is a very exciting moment in the game.
Exciting. Yeah. Okay. Can one choose to opt out of the game?
Oh, so many people have tried.
Yeah, I'm asking the question on their behalf.
Well, sometimes people suicide. That doesn't work.
Why do you say that?
Well, you have to come right back. And plus you have a very heavy karmic burden to deal with, because it's a very extreme negative karma to destroy your body when it's not your time. There's a difference between sacrificing your life for something great and destroying your life because you can't stand it anymore. A huge difference of karma. It's interesting. In both cases, you leave your body. In one case, there's great benefit. In another case, there's great loss. So your motivation, your question about motivation, very important. If you do something because you can't bear it, because you're a coward, because it's all too much, that's a weak action. Why would you sacrifice your life for somebody else, for the greater good, whatever? That's a great, pure karma, and you come back with a huge benefit in your subsequent birth. So motivation is very important.
Okay, so there is no way out of life.
Well, some people, they do such kind of meditation so that they can go to nirvana with the idea that let's go and not come back. But according to the law of karma, once you're here, you can't come out until a cycle has completed. When the cycle is completed, everyone returns to their 0 point, and then the game begins again.
I'd like to come back to the aspect of creating profitable action. It is obviously a wise soul who can pull something like that off, because most people whom I know nowadays do not even know what it is to create profitable action. I'm sure the audience out there need more specifics.
Well, I think it is known that philanthropy is good.
Mm-hmm.
It is known, do your good deed for the day. We have this in the culture. But what's not known is the law of karma, and the idea that you reincarnate, and whatever you do, sooner or later, you will get the return of it. This is why I say it's a cultural issue. If you go into a culture that subscribes to reincarnation and the laws of karma, even if they don't know it quite clearly, they still know all of this stuff and they still operate on that basis. The problem is that the dominant culture in the world of business, in the world of finance, in the world of politics, is the Western civilization, which disregards all these things. So in those cultures where the religion, the dominant religion, does subscribe to reincarnation and karma, then people know in the background, but it's not in their education system. And so a lot of people from those cultures get into a Western mentality and they disregard the aspects of karma. So then they're operating as if they didn't know, even though they know.
You use the term body conscious and soul conscious quite often. How does that play into the fact that life is a game?
I think soul conscious is really good for that, because soul conscious means this is a costume and you are a performer in the game. You know, it brings to mind this film of Steven Spielberg called Ready Player One, which is all about virtual reality. And the players adopt another body and they meet each other through their visors, and they may be in reality something really very normal, ordinary, poor people, and they live this virtual reality where they have beautiful bodies with all kinds of superpowers and they perform. The circumstances of that film is that life is so wretched for the people that the only way they can survive it is by living in this virtual reality. So everybody's in there all the time. And behind that you have this éminence grise of the corporations who want to own the game, because then they own everybody. So it comes down to this perpetual ancient game of who has the power. And I think when you know this game of life, you come into such a position of power that you can really make your life the very, very best that it could possibly be. And it's not an artificial game. It's a game, but it's a real game. It's not that the performance is imaginary or fake. It is the reality of your life, but you are handling it as a game. The importance in the game is to be skillful, so then you can really enjoy it.
How does being soul conscious assist one in this respect?
Well, being soul conscious, you know that you're genderless.
I want to rephrase my question. Do you say to yourself all day, every day, I'm a soul, I'm a soul, I'm a soul? Is that what you mean? Or is it deeper than that?
Well, it has to be deeper than that. You have to know it, you know, because if you're all the time telling yourself, I'm a soul, when are you going to get the point? You know it. You function in that consciousness. That is your identity. You know, your sense of identity, either you're a being of light performing through a body, or you're a body, you're gross, you're an object. It's a hugely different sense of self. In this awareness of yourself as a soul, you can let go so easily. Whatever happens, okay, doesn't matter, let it go. Move on, you know, take the consequences. Pay attention, what are you doing? Because you will pay. Expect to be held accountable. Body consciousness, you don't know what you're doing. You're operating as if you're blind, deaf and dumb. You do silly mistakes. You cause all kinds of problems for yourself and then you have to suffer. What is this?
Yeah, what is this? On this note, I think we'll have to say goodbye to you. So there you go. Life is a game. I'm sure, Sister Denise, that very few of us have actually had that thought, that life is a game and I'm simply a player. I hope that you have taken some benefit from today's talk. The question of life being a game might be new to most of us, and I think Sister Denise has shared some important insights into what the rules are and how to make the game profitable for oneself. I think that's the bottom line. And when it comes to the law of karma, to bear that in mind and to live life carefully. Very valuable insights. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you at home for joining us. Take care and goodbye.